and I would often find you in roles where you played nurses. I was like, oh, there's Rebecca. She's a nurse again.
It's so true. It's so weird.
I was reflecting on your IMDb credits, and it's like Rebecca Johnson, nurse, and I'm like,
Nurse.
oh yeah. So during your career path, what nurse roles come to mind?
I played a nurse in Arrested Development,
Yep.
and that was an army nurse.
Yes.
I played a gyno nurse in This Is 40. That was fun because that scene was in the trailer. It was like when it comes out that Leslie Mann's character is lying about her age, and I was like questioning her age on paper, on like files, and so that was cool because it like was the part of the premise of the movie, and so it was in the trailer, so it actually made it seem like I had a bigger part. But that was fun. And then I've played a nurse on General Hospital.
Yep.
I wonder if there's any other nurses, but those are the three that I remember.
That's awesome. I love it. I love that that keeps recurring. That's a recurring theme.
Yeah.
For you, Rebecca. So I'll ask you this. I know there's been murmurings. Are we going to see a sequel to This Is 40? I don't know.
I have no idea, and I probably wouldn't be in it if it was. But
I'm going to petition that you return.
Okay, for
with
This
the
Is
chart.
50. Yeah.
You mentioned family and raising a child. Tell me about BJ and how you both came to meet.
So I met my husband BJ at college. He actually knew Matt Donnelly before I did. So he was a theater major, and we met my freshman year, and yeah, it's so crazy. Like we met so long ago, and we started dating my freshman year a couple months in. Dated for a couple years. We broke up for a couple years, and then we reconnected at the UCB. We were both going to see an improv show in October 2001, which is insane.
Oh my God.
And so much had happened in the world.
Right. That was what, in the wake of 9/11, right?
Yeah. We hadn't really talked to each other for 2 years. And then we both go to see this improv show. And it's like, how are you? Oh my God. And ended up reconnecting. And we've been back together ever since. So since 2001, we've been back together. And so he did comedy, did improv for a long time. And it was great when I wanted to move across the country. He's like, okay.
Wonderful.
And he was still acting at the time. So it was good. He did some improv out here and stuff like that. And yeah, we got married 15 years ago and had our son, Fred, 7.5 years ago.
So, and congratulations.
Thanks.
I remember BJ fondly because he would come and perform with us on occasion when you would come to Vegas. So give him my best.
I will.
Now I want to go down this path. I also am reviewing your IMDb credits. What's been your experience, and what is it like doing voice acting?
It's really fun. I've done a few animated shows. I feel like I would love to do more. It's like a hard business to get into. I have an agent for it and I audition for things, but I think that it's a really special skill, and that there's like a small number of people that do lots of shows. So I did a show called Ugly Americans, and I did a lot of like the fun small voices, character voices for that. I did a small part in American Dad. And I recently did, and it's not animated, but it feels like it, but I did like a podcast for Audible called Haunt the Johnsons, which is not my Johnson, it's another Johnson, but I got to play a ghost who is haunting a little girl moves from New York City to the suburbs into a haunted house, and she feels she could see ghosts, which is why they moved her out of the city, but then of course move her into the most haunted town in America, and the house is haunted, and I got to play a ghost. And so that was really cool because it was 15 episodes and I was a ghost in each of those episodes. And the goal would eventually be that it would get animated, but it was similar to animation because you're just doing the voice and it's storytelling through your voice. And it was so fun. And that's on Audible. You can watch that now. But yeah, I do like little animated things here and there.
I'll look for Haunt the Johnsons, and I'll also put a link to that. And I think kind of like improv, you don't have to consider your appearance or whatever. I think voice acting could just also be very freeing. Do you agree? Or?
Yeah, it's freeing. I mean, I think there's elements of voice acting that are very technical. Sure. Like when you hear the pros and how they do it, they really hit the turns and the jokes in a really interesting way. And I think it's realizing now, like, there's a real technical approach to it. But yeah, it's so fun to be able to roll out of bed and go into a studio. Or I did one podcast for Spotify. I forget what it's called. Fred Armisen starred in it, and I did that during the pandemic. And they just mailed me a microphone. I shot it from home, recorded it from home, Zooming with the director, mailed back the mic, and now it's on Spotify.
Which is I was gonna be my next question. I think the world opened up, as far as voice acting, and that you found the potential to just do work from home, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
So we talked about animated shows. I know you've had a television appearances, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, also The Babysitters Club. And I, of course, want to transition into Glow.
Glow, it was one of those situations where I had been producing a lot and directing and writing and just had Fred and was just feeling like acting was not happening. I had those nurse roles, but it wasn't really progressing more than that. And so I was working on the show Speakeasy with Paul F. Tompkins and, doing all this directing stuff, which I loved, but acting, just not that many auditions. And then all of a sudden, get an audition for Glow. I used to watch it when I was a kid. So I would watch Glow when I was little girl after piano lesson. It would come on Saturdays, at noon. And I would watch it after piano lesson and be titillated by it, and also being I shouldn't be watching this.
Similarly, because I grew up in Vegas and it was here,
right?
And it was broadcast here, so I saw it too at an early age.
That's so funny.
Us, Rebecca. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it did. I loved it. So as soon as I saw that audition, I was like, holy shit. And they wanted Kimmy and I to go in together. And Jen Houston, who cast it, she had seen the Apple Sisters 10 years before.
Okay.
And first time she ever brought me in was Glow. And even though, she was a real fan of the Apple Sisters and they wanted comedy duos for these roles. It was two girls playing best friends based on these sisters from the original Glow. And so Kimmy and I, basically, we found out about the audition. Our characters were the audition was mainly improvised. So Kimmy and I spent hours kind of working on writing parameters for our improv. So we didn't just leave it up to the improv gods, whether or not it was good or not. Mm-hmm. And we just worked on it and went in and killed. We just killed. It was amazing. It was such a good feeling because we got to go in together, kind of bring our shtick, bring the thing that is what we're best at, which is sort of improvising, writing, acting, character. And we just had a blast in the audition. When we got the call back, they sent us the original Glow song and they were come up with wrestling characters and do something like this. So instead of doing a rap, which was the original Glow, we created 5 different wrestling characters and just did a 20-minute show. And we said, this is who this duo is, and did their bit. And we just tried to be as diverse as possible in terms of playing. We did New Jersey housewives. We did pig farmers who were chasing pigs around. We did this crazy character where Kimmy plays this Kimmy plays this woman, Aunt Lottie, who's fabulous, and I played a niece who's a tomboy and hates the world. And we just made all these different fun choices, and then they talked to us for 20 minutes after, and Kimmy and I kind of overlapped when we were talking, kind of how Dawn and Stacey do.
Sure.
We got the job, and that was amazing. I was 37. I had a 1.5 old, so did Kimmy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the best job of our lives. And it was at a point where we both thought we were transitioning out of acting and into something behind the scenes because it just wasn't happening acting wise. And this perfect job came up. And it was just incredible. We wrestled for a month before we started working. So that's when we got to meet all the girls. And we got to meet them kind of on an equal playing field. We have girls who like went to Juilliard or who were famous. But we all had to learn how to wrestle together and trust each other. And it was like the ultimate team building for a cast.
Sure.
And then we shot 3 seasons. The 4th season, we were shooting we were 2 episodes in when the pandemic hit, and they put us on hold. And then after 6 months, ultimately canceled us. So that was pretty devastating. And then before that, Rachel Bloom, who is one of my good friends, I directed her stage shows, and she would be in the Apple Sisters as a guest. Kimmy was directing an episode of her TV show, and there was a part for me, so I got to play it. And then Babysitters Club, one of the writers from Glow is the showrunner of Babysitters Club, and she thought of me. And that was an incredible role because it was like 5 scenes. I had a really cool arc, and it was one of those parts in Babysitters Club that like I read it and I was like, oh, this is also like a dream role. Like for me to be this like over the top crazy mom. And I had to cry and wrangle kids and be funny. That was awesome.
I want to thank you for that because I watched the episode and again, this mother who has wild children and you have to employ a babysitter and the family has a reputation.
Yeah.
And of course you swoop in and you're
in the script, in the description, it says she swans in. And I was like,
but you did beautifully, by the way. Yes, of course.
Dream to get to swan in. You'd love to swan. If anyone writes something for you, you have to be swanning in. That's full Phil face.
Oh yes, I would love it. Oh, where is this project? Let's write it together.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Called Swans.
But anyway, I want to give you kudos because you mentioned that character having an arc. And in television, again, I don't have this experience. I think film, it's one thing. In television, it's a lot quicker. But you gave a very grounded performance and moment where she's connecting with the babysitter and there's raw emotion there. And I appreciated seeing that in the Babysitters Club, which is on Netflix.
Yeah, which they just canceled, but
I know, again, and we're talking about everything in the past tense, which I think is horrendous. One, Glow, of course, and the Babysitters Club is fresh on our minds because I know it was just announced that it was canceled. So it's disappointing, of course. Either of those properties, I mean, do you feel there's a future for those to return in some capacity?
You know, Hollywood is a creative town, but it's also a money town. And, you know, it really just depends on who owns. So Glow, Netflix owns. So I don't think it'll come back, maybe as a movie, but maybe in the future. I have no idea. Glow would be trickier because it's not like Netflix is just going to sell their stake in Glow and let someone else air the old episodes, and nobody's going to make a new season if they can't have the old episodes. So it's just like a stupid business thing.
Yeah.
Babysitters Club is owned by a different production company, but still it's all about who has the rights to the original episodes. And if a network cares about it enough to buy those rights for whatever the price is that it's being sold. So it's just like and it would have to be done quickly because, you know, those kids are getting older. And I have no idea what's actually going on behind the scenes. And I hope that both projects would move forward. But Babysitters Club, you know, it's possible they just announced it. So it's possible that there's something in the works. So much of it is a business decision. When things are canceled, it's always business.
And unfortunately, I think the fans don't realize that a lot of the time. So I appreciate that insight about what goes on behind the scenes that we often don't consider, you know, the legalities, who owns what rights. There's all these factors and business decisions, as you said, that come into play, which are frustrating at best, but it's just the reality.
Yeah, it's just a tricky thing. And that's what's so crazy about this business in general is just that like you can be the best show in the world. I mean, Babysitters Club had 100% ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. They had more viewership than Netflix had expected. It like won awards and still can get canceled because ultimately it's a money thing. And unfortunately, we're up against that all the time. And so the same money that affords you your lifestyle and the like making your dreams come true can like literally just go away at any time for any reason. And that's what makes it really hard to be in the business in general, you know? But I can't do anything else. I have no skills. Literally, I have no skills.
Well,
I think about it. What else can I do? Nothing. There's literally nothing else that I'm good at. Like I can't do any. I'm not good at math anymore. I couldn't go back and be a math teacher.
I know there was math teacher there for a while, but I don't know. So this is our plea: hire Rebecca.
Yeah, but I'm not at a desperate place. But it is like sometimes I'm like, oh, stability would be nice, but.
Yeah.
You know, being creative is great, and I have projects in the works, and you know, I know that I'll continue to work, but it's just that frustrating thing when like your dream jobs just get taken away. You're like, fuck you.
You feel robbed. Well, I want to thank you for your commitment to the art, etc. And despite all this, you have, like we mentioned, consent earlier. I know I'm taking up a lot of your time, so we'll end on this. You did create another short film project, which you are very passionate about, which premiered at South by Southwest recently there in Austin, Texas. What can you tell us about this short that you recently did?
So Kate Nash from Glow, her and I, we were spending a lot of time together in the pandemic, distanced in my backyard.
Sure.
For real. Like for like a year, she'd just come over, we'd hang out 10 feet apart, you know, the masks in the house, like we were really on top of it. But we would hang out a lot. We were so depressed when Glow got canceled, and we were like, let's make a short together. And her and I had been kind of collaborating on ideas for her music videos and making sort of a narrative structure to her next album. Like the music videos coming out, we were like coming up with stuff, and we pitched it as a show, and it didn't end up getting picked up, but we're still like working on it. Like we're still working on it. So we have a lot of creative projects that we're working on together. And
go ahead. I was going to say, is there an opportunity for a stodgy old gay man to swan in?
Sure.
We'll talk after. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So we basically, Kate was writing a horror novel. She was in a horror novel writing class. Mm-hmm. I've been writing rom-coms, and I was like writing scripts in the pandemic when like there was no acting work. And so she was taking a horror novel writing class. Homework for the class was to listen to soundtracks of horrors and look at images, like random images. So she was listening to the Shining soundtrack and then watching some YouTube videos, and a random YouTube video popped up, and it was a news story, a local news story in Oklahoma, where a woman woke up and there was a coyote in her bedroom. And she kind of like swatted it away with a golf club, and then the animal control came, picked it up, and that's the end of the story. But Kate, because she's listening to the soundtrack, was like, what if that's not the end of the story? And also thought this woman was like quirky and strange and that I should play her. And so she texted me and was like, I have an idea for a short based on this news story. And we basically texted back and forth in sort of a jokingly heightened manner the whole plot of the film. And then we're like, let's do it. And then we like had a call. I wrote an outline. We kept, expanding on it. She would come over. We'd, write the script, and we were like, let's really do this. And so it's called Wild Bitch. It's about a mousy housewife who lures a local reporter to the woods after a life-changing encounter with a coyote, and they end up having this like harrowing adventure where they bond with each other and the beast. And it's a quirky thriller. There's dark comedy, there's gore. We explore themes of like environmental issues and sexism. And we just get to play these like insane characters who, we just get to do this like fun stuff. And we made this like crazy bonkers movie and directed it, wrote it, starred in it, and got in a South by. So it was awesome. And now we want to either turn it into a feature or a dark comedy series. We kind of have ideas for both. So we're going to sort of explore the avenues.
Yes, please. I would love to see it. Before I hit record, you mentioned you might have some projects in the offing. Is there anything you can speak to regarding that?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm directing a kids movie this summer. It's a mockumentary about the dance competition world.
Oh no.
And so I got hired to do a rewrite and direct that. So that's really exciting. And yeah, just like I have some projects that I'm developing. I have a TV show about a wellness guru from Staten Island who's very unwell, that I'm developing and going out to pitch in the next few months. And then I wrote a rom-com that I have a production company attached to. So I'm just trying to like create, see what sticks, and hopefully get things made. And I have some more short film ideas that I wish that there was like an easy pipeline where people funded shorts, because it's like so difficult to, I don't want to crowdfund again, but I do want to be able to continue to make more work, because it's really helped me in my career. And also like, it's so fun to have that form of short storytelling, like it's really fun. So I'm going to plan on making another short this year and directing the feature and writing and auditioning, and yeah, that's my life.
Yes. Right. Well, thank you, Rebecca, and thank you so much for your time joining me here on Netflix and Phil. It's been such a pleasure to have you. Anything you want to leave us with? Anything?
No, but I just love that in the background there you have a little teddy bear on your bed, and that we're supposed to still treat you like an adult man.
Oh boy, I know. I'm gonna stop recording and you can be my therapist. Just let me know what your rates are, right? Oh my gosh.